Brooklyn Independent Television.
Sylvia Hernandez grew up in Williamsburg. She remembers when the streets weren't so kind, and like many New Yorkers, she's seen her share of hard times. She's an artist specializing in what she terms memory quilts and other art forms. She's a mother, sister, wife, daughter, but to most, she's simply known as the Brooklyn Quilt Girl.
I can honestly say I don't remember how I started quilting. I don't know what it was a calling, that's all I can say. I learned how to sew in the 4th grade. I got an old machine and I just went with it. My name is Sylvia Hernandez and this is my quilt studio in Brooklyn, Williamsburg, in the neighborhood I grew up in. So I've seen this neighborhood change from the very worst to to what it is now, to now the fabulous Williamsburg. But I was here when nobody wanted to come to Williamsburg. I am a medical assistant, and after 3 o'clock, I run out of the office and I come to my studio to work, to make my quilts. The building we're located in used to be the school for our church, for the Church of the Epiphany. I actually took my first communion classes in this room. It was abandoned. The priest helped us out. He knew I needed a studio, so he let me come in here. We cleaned it up, and here we are. Made memory quilts. Memory quilts incorporated memories of the person. They can bring me stuff that belonged to them. I have quilts that are made from old clothing from people that have passed. This particular quilt was made for a friend of my son's. Her name was Monica. She was killed in a hit-and-run accident, and I put this together for the friends. She was a tattoo artist. She was a musician, so everything that's in here has something to do with what she was. There are photos of her on there also. On this particular skeleton, I put the articles that were in the newspaper about her. And at first, I thought it was a bit dark, but I felt that it was something that had to be said. I started out in art school. I wanted to take up illustration. I had to stop because I was pregnant. And I was in the 10th grade, so I stopped to take care of my son, to do the mommy thing, and then I had another child much later, but once I was done with them and they were off to college, I came back to the arts. But instead of illustration, I do it in fabric now. This particular piece is for an exhibit a friend asked me about for 9/11. All of these are covers or pictures that I put away 10 years ago. Put them away. They had no clue what I was going to do with them. I pulled them out last week, and you know what? It was as painful last week as it was 10 years ago. This picture here is my son. He went to Stuyvesant. The Spectator was the newspaper, the newsletter for the school. It had a huge impact on him. He still doesn't talk about it. Doesn't want to talk about it, so it's okay. And hopefully it'll be in a show sometime soon. If I've had a stressful day or if I'm upset, I do not touch it. Because I feel like you put your negative energy into anything that you're working on when you're in that kind of a mood. And anybody that is negative or that way is not allowed into the space. Including my husband, who I adore. If he's acting crazy, he knows he needs to stay outside until he calms down so we can get onto it. Those are the rules. There's no quilting police in here. There's no grumpy people, no negative. It just doesn't fit in here. Anybody that comes in here usually feels that it's okay. Whatever you're doing here, it's not a mistake, it's not a mess, it's okay. It's art, so it's cool. I just put the strips together for a piece you guys saw before. Just stripping them and then we'll cut them down. The difference between this machine and the other machine is that this one is for just putting it together, whereas the bigger machine is to quilt it, which gives it the texture. And then I'll cut it down and make triangles. Square them off and put them all together and make one big square. And once they go together, they'll look like. My brother passed away a couple of years ago. It was a big shock to us. So when I got into his apartment to clean it up, there were certain things that I picked up. He had a Heineken in the refrigerator, so I took the cap off and I put it in my pocket. So his quilt consists of a key on it because we couldn't get into his apartment. One of his tools is on this quilt. His selective service card that he saved from 1966 was still in his pocket. I put a copy of his Social Security card because he was this close to retiring. I put screws on it because he was screwed out of Social Security. He waited so long and he missed that. So it was just things that I felt I had to get out of my system so I wouldn't carry it with me forever. Because it was like I was carrying something I didn't need to carry about him anymore. So just to let him rest at peace too, I think I needed to do that. When I was in art school, I just loved the art, the colors, the creation of something. And in quilting, I find the same thing. I think when I work on something and I give it to somebody, they know it's coming from the heart. It's not something that's just been thrown together and it's not the way I work. When I do my work, I put my whole heart into it. And I can say 99% of the people that have gotten stuff from me understand it and feel it when I give it to them.
Follow us on Twitter at BK Independent TV.